Sections. Anyone who would like to come, please come. The family has set a limit to 2 minutes.
My sister says I need to bring Lord and mic. I'm a little shorter than my brother-in-law. And I tend to tear up very easily. Even my deacon knows that. Excuse me. What Reverend Pringle didn't mention, he said he's glad to be part of this family. He actually is biologically part of this family. Okay, he didn't mention that exactly, but yes, he is part of our family. So we wanted family here. Cousin Jerome Parker, we wanted family involved. I am so glad to see so many friends here as well. Deacon Richardson touched on something, and I'll expound on it just a little bit. My brother Arthur asked me to say the other day that he felt it might be a good idea to say a few things. I'm going to expound on a couple of things, if I may. My mother, and you were right on track. My mother, her pride and joy was her children. And she was a do-it-yourselfer. She believed very much in God. But she also believed as a do-it-yourselfer that if there's anything you want to do in life, if you read that obituary, her perspective was anything you want to do in life, you can do it. You just got to get up and go do it. And so her thought was, you can't sit around and wait for somebody to come along and take your hand and hold your hand or guide you through life. If you sat around waiting for somebody to come along and guess that you want to do this or be that in life, you might never get to do that or be that in life. So her perspective was do it yourself. And that's why when you read the obituary, all those things she did it herself. And there were so many instances of doing it yourself. She decided to teach her children those principles of do it yourself. So when I'm laughing because my sister's laughing, she knows what I'm about to say. When each of us got to be at the age of 8, we went into the do-it-yourself program. And I'll tell you what the program was. Each of us at the age of 8, my mother immediately taught us the 4 keys of life. Learn how to cook, how to clean house, how to wash your clothes, and how to iron your clothes. Now, I don't know with 3 boys whether she felt that maybe we might not get married and need some help, but she taught all of us, and I was the first. And so the fact of the matter is, you have to remember, back there in the 50s, there were no washing machines, no clothes washers, no clothes dryers. There was none of that. So anyway, it was a little harder. And believe me, as the oldest and the first, I had to carry the first 2 years of doing all that by myself. I started to say, might make you feel like running away from home, but I won't say that. Anyway, 2 years later, came my sister Sina, and she joined in, and I had some help. 2 years after that came my brother Arthur, and then we had 3 of us cooking, cleaning, washing our clothes, and what's the last one? Ironing. Yes, absolutely. And then here came number 4. Clyde came in, and by that time we started having fun in the house. When Mom would be gone, because Mom worked 2 jobs every day throughout most of her life. And in the meantime, we would just do what she told us to do, and we'd also have fun doing it. But anyway, I guess the benefits of the success aspect of it is, believe it or not, we still cook, we still can iron, and so we can do all of that and help our marital partners. And the most successful aspect of it is by time my brother Clyde got into the mix, Clyde started enjoying it so much that actually Clyde, he enjoyed the cooking part so much that he opened up a restaurant in Atlanta. I don't know if he's ever told too many people that, but he opened up a restaurant in Atlanta because he cooked so well. So that was one of the benefits of being in the do-it-yourself program. I'll share one more thing with you as an example of the do-it-yourself when you have children. I entered the 9th grade, and we'd just been there about 4 weeks or something, 1 month, and they had something called college night. I don't know if they still do that. And they had the freshman kids escort. So anyway, I didn't know what college was, but I was an escort. And when we had so you had to stand out beside the door, and the seniors and the juniors would be in there. And so anyway, I listened like that. I'm at the door and I'm listening to what that college recruiter guy said. So afterwards, I came back home and I said, Mom, I told her all about it. And I said, I heard about this thing called college. I think I'd like to do that. And so I remember distinctly standing in the kitchen, she and I, and she looked at me. She didn't say nothing and gave me a look with her head. And she said, well, son, I hate to tell you this, but I can't send you. I don't have the money. And I looked at her almost in shock. And my mouth had dropped. And my mind was saying, what in the world? What does she mean? And she was looking at me, and she kind of, the silence was there for a moment, and then she came back with another statement. She said, if you go to college, it's going to be because you did it. And I thought, huh? I wasn't sure what she meant. So I was a little despondent, and I turned and left, ran about whatever activities for the day, and that night I slept on, and the next day I went back to school. And somewhere maybe in the wee hours of my dreaming, something came to me, and that apparently told me what my mother was telling me. So the next day I went to school, and I started from that day on, the first month in 9th grade. For the next 4 years, I did everything I heard that recruiter say in that room. Everything. Now, if there's any of my high school classmates out here, I don't see any stoles, so I don't see them. Oh, yeah, there are some. They could probably tell you that Vernon Holmes was a dull boy. There was 4 years of me doing what I believed what I was supposed to do that my mother was kind of hinting. And so that's what I did for the next 4 years. And lo and behold, at the end of 4 years, voila, I'm in college, as Deacon Richardson pointed out. And 2 years later, here comes Athena, and she is in college. And I thought to myself, I said, oh my God, Mama must have given her that speech. And 2 years later, here comes Arthur. And I said, oh my God, what's happening? I said, boy, Mama is, she must have given Arthur that speech as well. And then I absolutely could not believe it. Another 2 years later, and here comes Clyde, and he is in college. I said, oh my God. So you might have seen in some of the video, my mother has a thing where she At a moment of pride, she kind of, it's like putting your chest out. And here's what that means. I told you she had pride in her children. If I could speak for her, and I think I spent a lot of years with her, because, well, the facts of life is, unfortunately, things like divorce happens. My mother had to take care of 4 children by herself starting at the age of 8. But here's the end product, as Deacon Richardson said. My mother at one point could say, I had 4 children. I sent 4 children to college. They wound up with 4 undergraduate degrees. They wound up with 4 master's degrees, with 3 master's degrees in business administration and 1 master's degree in engineering. 2 of them became engineers. 1 became an expert, a computer, computer software expert, and 1 became nationally certified in financial affairs and as an advisor as well. And then in the mix of all of that, 2 of them became United States Air Force officers. So that was the byproduct of saying, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. I can't send you. If you do it, you're gonna have to do it yourself. So, moral of the story is, if you got any parents out here, you have any children about to approach college or your grandchildren, if they come to you and say, I'd like to go to college, try my mother's tactic and simply say what I just told you a moment ago and see what happens, okay? So that's the moral of the story. Pastor, okay? All right. I thank you all for coming. I could tell you a whole lot of other stories, but I won't, okay? God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming, family and friends. Thank you.
Hi, this microphone works. I'm gonna move it slightly farther away. All right. Hi, I'm Rachel. I am one of the granddaughters of Althea Holmes. And I do want to highlight something that my uncle Vernon was saying, that yes, grandma said do it yourself, but there's also an important aspect of that she didn't crush any dreams. She didn't tell him that he was ridiculous she didn't go, boy, are you outside your mind? We don't have money for that. She was someone that if she could help someone find a way to it, she would, but they are definitely carving their own path. And that is something I was reflecting on over the past couple of weeks, that my grandma really did give people permission to be fully themselves. She was unapologetically herself. And that is something that is not very common. And I love being how quirky I am. And she gave me full permission to own that. And we have such a lovely dynamic family because she gave us permission to be ourselves. And that is something that I think that anybody that really interacted with her did, that she accepted who they were and then just tried to find ways to embrace that. And something that's fascinating, because she is a do-it-yourselfer, you just also didn't find out, she didn't tell you the things that she did. You just find out in context and Grandma, you know sign language? Oh yeah, I learned it because I had a coworker that was deaf. She did. Oh, that's a cool barbecue in your backyard. Oh, yeah, I learned how to do some brick masonry because I wanted a barbecue, right? Like, she was someone that was curious. And when she loved people, she definitely invested in people and stayed curious about them. So that is just something that is really, really lovely about her. That is part of this legacy that she passed on. And because she inspired people to like carve their own paths, they wound up getting like a deeper knowledge than if she spoon fed them, and it gave them this sense of empowerment, like I can accomplish this. And so it's a beautiful legacy that's been going through our family. And to like go on a slightly different note, I do want to go ahead and acknowledge how all four of her children have been like working together forever. And and they worked together to take care of my grandmother in these last years of her life, and they all had their own strengths and took the lead in these different phases of her life. My uncle Vernon used to go to her house like every day to just like spend time with her, make sure that she was eating, make sure that she was doing all the things that she needed and that she had some company. My uncle already lived up in Ohio. He'd come down every year and do some repairs. My mom would take her to dance classes, and my uncle Clyde took care of her through these last years as things got more complicated, but he still found opportunities for her to shine. And so I definitely want to acknowledge how they collaborated with this love and devotion to their family, to their mom and this family. And lastly, I think it's funny, but my grandmother passed away on April Fool's Day. And anybody that like spent time with her knew that she had a major sense of humor and that she was a very memorable lady. And so like all kinds of little jokes would happen. Like if she was wearing a wig, she called it her hat. She's like, it's cold outside, let me put my hat on, and it's a wig. Right? She would come up with like cool costumes to like scare the trick-or-treaters. She loved dancing, and like when she was less mobile, like she would walk with me if I gave her a beat and we were like dancing. And so she loved dance parties, have lots of humor, and she had like the sweetest smile that like she was just like, yes. And so she was just this dynamic, magical person, and I am honored to be part of her legacy. So, thank you.
Wife. She was my last guest. Well, hope not be the last, but she was our guest for almost 6 years. And from the beginning, it was just a challenge and then became part of our lives. Then now we're going to have to go back to be just a couple. Not with a lady that was there that likes to be take care of, but she likes to be the one that take care of you. And she was fun to be around. She taught a lot me about Charleston when I came in without speaking my language and me without speaking English. She showed me how to go to the grocery store, to the shopping mall, how to drive in Charleston. And she was always afraid that because I didn't speak any English, that somebody was going to kidnap me. Always. She was always afraid. She was always calling to make sure that I was okay. So she extended her arms to someone and she knew nothing about it. A different culture. She was very good to me. I'm going to miss her, even when she was tough. Because the first time I asked her, can I call you mom? She said, yeah, your mother's dead. It's fine. This is what she said to me. And from then on, I called her mother all the time until she moved in with us because she forgot about me. She didn't know who I was. But she was a good friend, a good mother to me. So I thank everybody here because she was a good lady. And I'm going to miss her. How can somebody miss somebody that is 95 years old? I will. Because she was always there for us. She was always there for her friends. She called, she visited. She took me around like I was part of her family. So for that, I'm very thankful. Because I have a good husband, I know it's because of her. So for that, I am very thankful. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Rosalind Wright Floyd Hendrew, and this is my sister Caroline Wright Canty. And we are here to represent a family relationship that has gone on even to the third generation. My dad, Reginald Wright, and Mrs. Holmes grew up in this church, going to the what they called the Baptist Young People's Union, to Sunday school, all of that. And then this generation, well, my mother, of course, taught Asena. And with this generation, um, I, of course, know all of her children, Asena, whom I call my big sister. Oddly enough, I call Clyde my cousin. I don't know why that is. And Artie, of course, was a brother, and we were all in the band together. And Mrs. Holmes was always checking on my parents. And I was even invited to her, I think it was her 85th birthday party. And she was there dancing and just laughing and having a good time. But I know her best through her children. Asina has been my big sister ever since I met her. She is the reason I went to Talladega College. Artie, let me go. I should say that. You have to see me for the story. But Artie is the reason that my brother Skip went to Dartmouth. And on campus at Talladega College, Clyde was my cousin, and nobody messed with me on that campus. It wasn't going to happen. I was privileged to meet his wife, Sylvia. And I want to say to you, Sylvia, bonjour. Yeah. And I want to say to all of you, even though Ms. Holmes may have forgotten who you may have been, it is more important that you remember who she was. And we give you our heartfelt condolences. My dad's over there, and he had to be here for his friend. So thank you.
Very brief.
I did have a lot to say, but a lot has already been said. It's in the obituary. My mother was wonderful. There's things that I read about doing while putting the obituary together that I didn't know about her, and I was just amazed. Zion musicians, where she and others would, when she was just a kid, would go to different churches all around the city and even across on some of the rivers, Ashley River and everything, and played. She just did a wonderful job. The main thing I wanted to do is I want to correct my older brother. He ran to church, but he did lie. He lied or he made a mistake. You see, we didn't all follow in that step that he was talking about. I never learned how to cook. Never. I slipped through. They cooked. I ate. Right? And I don't know how they never knew that. Just, you know? But my mother did other wonderful things. When I would come back to visit, because I'm the one who went up to Ohio, you couldn't take her anywhere without somebody saying, "Hi, Miss Holmes. Hi, Miss Holmes." And she'd smile and she'd talk to them. And I would think, well, why was that? Well, she worked at Knight's Food Store. She was the first black female working as a clerk at Knight's grocery store on the east side. So all the kids, all the young people who went in the shop, they would get to meet her. So as they grew, they got to know her and they said, hi, 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 hi. I mean, you couldn't go to the courthouse because she became a bailiff in the courthouse. Of course, a lot of people go to the courthouse. And I took her there, just pulling together some of her papers when she was getting older. And sure enough, they're saying hi to her. Everybody seemed to know her and was very pleased with her. And so that was my mother. My mother played basketball, not as a regular player, but at high school, when we were in high school at C.A. Brown, they said, hey, let's have some parents come out and play ball. My mother said, okay. She played. And I just loved it. You know what? My mother shoot the basketball. So a lot of funny things. One last thing. One time it poured down raining, and I just really wanted to get out there. The water was about a foot, 2 feet high. And I said, she ain't gonna let us go there. But sure enough, she said, yeah, you and I can go out and play in the rain. So we go out there and put a little boats, and the water is block long. It's like foot, 2 feet high. We're out there playing in the rain. I loved it. She was nice to us. And the last thing, I'm sorry, she also knew the belt. So we knew when she came home from work, if we did something wrong, the neighbor would have told on us, and she would come in with that belt, and she would teach us what it meant to not do what she said when we were supposed to.
Amen. We need to.
As being the oldest in this family now, I know people at Morris Street Baptist. I'm going back to the family. And I know everybody know where we come from, the Labatune family. We speak of Althea. She is who she is. There's no one like her. And what I want to say about her, my mother, Althea and I, the number is 13. We are 13 years different from each other. But I'm going back to Aunt Evelina and Dorothy and Susie, but most of all, everybody in this church know Uncle Dan Labatute. That's where we started. And 10 years ago, now if I get emotional, don't worry about it. Althea was there by me, by my mother. She passed away 10 years ago in a couple of days. We all was together. Althea, cousin Mary, and my mother was on deathbed. But it seemed like it's a 10-year increment between the death of us. But to the children and to the visitors of her funeral, Althea was who she was. She would be there for you if you need her. And like Vernon said, you have to learn to do it on your own. But she would be there. She was there for my mother. She was there for Cousin Mary. She was there for everybody. And like the kid said, you have to learn to do it. And then she was satisfied. I'm not going to be long, but I just want to say this because
We live, seem like there's a lot in our family. We live to be in the 90s. I ain't far from it. But I thank God. I thank God for this family. We hadn't seen each other in years. I hadn't seen my cousins and their children in years. But God got a way of doing things. God got a way of doing things. I'm sorry, this is the way, but we are intelligent and enough to know that it was going to happen. Vernon called me, Clyde called me. I talk at things, ask about all of them all the time. But Althea done a phenomenal job. She was a mother. Mothers are hard to find. In this day and time and generation, younger mothers, stop and think about your children, what they need and what their needs are. Their needs are not about this and that. Their needs about being able to take care of themselves, being able to love one another, being able to care for one another. Now we're here together for this occasion, and I'm not considered a sad occasion. It's going to bring us together. It's going to bring us together, which I know we are together. But when I say together, I mean closer and closer and closer. Because like I said, I hadn't seen my cousins. I'm not talking about the children. I've never seen them since they were little children. But I thank God that I was able to live as long as I have lived to see them again. I hadn't seen them since the 50s, but thank God. And their mother, she was a jewel. She was a pearl. She was love, and she loved everybody. She loved everybody. If she can be there for you, she done part-time work. She worked her fingers to the bone. And I can see her and my mother fussing at me right now about nothing. But the nothing was something, and I thank God for them. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. We have to move on with the services.
I just want to share a story with everybody. I'll be very quick. Being in hospice was difficult for Mama. We took care of her in our house. Prior to her being in hospice while living with us, a few times I had to hire someone to come by to help me with Mama. You guys can understand that. And I hired this lady. She was about this tall. My mom was about this tall. And Mom's bedroom was upstairs. So I told the lady when she got there that I needed Mom to get dressed so I can take her to the adult daycare, where she helped me. So she went upstairs. Half an hour later, she came back down. And I said, how did everything go? She said, it went well. I said, so you'll be back tomorrow? She said, no. So why not? She said, your mother hit me. So I said, okay. So it became a habit of mine whenever I would hire somebody new. I would always tell them a story about my mother. And of course, I have to make a confession because the story wasn't true. I would tell those young ladies when they would come, I would say, now listen, let me ask you, where you from? And one lady said, she's from Albany. I said, oh, that's a black city. She said, yeah. I said, when you were growing up, did you get in fights? She said, yeah. I said, so you know how to fight? I said, so you know how to fight? And she said, yeah. I said, well, when you go upstairs, I want you to know my mother used to be a heavyweight boxer. In fact, in Charleston, she knocked Muhammad Ali to the mat. That's how Muhammad Ali came up with the phrase, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's my mama. So when you go upstairs, I want you to look out for that left hook. Now, Mama's upstairs. Mama's upstairs. When that young lady would go upstairs, my mom was sitting in bed. That she's going to knock him out. Mama kept us laughing. She kept her sense of humor. She kept loving us through her sense of humor. And I'll miss her, just like Sylvia said. At first, it was a very difficult challenge. difficult enough about the fact that when Mama came, I had an afro this big, and it's gone now. But I love her, and she took good care of us even in her illness. Thank you.
Amen. We thank every.
Daughter. Okay, so I wanted to just come up and just tell you that my mom was so amazing. She was my best friend. She was always standing up for me. We went on vacations together, okay? And you know the neat part about it, she loved traveling. She's gone more places than all of her children because every place her children went, she went. And she went, accumulated, and mom outdid all of ours. Okay? She just loved everybody. I just loved taking her places. And when we were in dance classes at senior center, what I loved is when my mama and I would walk into that class, you probably know, basically the only two Black people in the class. The Asians were sitting there along the line, and they walked, when they saw us come in, they stood up and gave my mama the grace that she could sit in these chairs. They showed absolute respect and pride to my mom. And I just loved how that was shown. My mom was loved dancing. My poor daughter at my 70th birthday party, we were going to do the electric slide, and the music came on, and Mama ran over Rachel to get to that stage to do the electric slide. So, but I miss my mom. I tried every Friday to go over and visit my mom and to tell her how much I loved her and that she did such a good job with all of us. All my brothers and I are all happily married. All of us have great kids. I could be more proud of this family. I'm so glad that she was my mom. Okay, thank you.
Amen. We thank everyone for thoughtful words and kind words of our dear sister. We'll now have a song by a